All right, and we should be good to go. Let me get the chat bumping. All right. This is kind of weird. Usually I'm used to doing podcasts with people that I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
What is the thing?
I don't know.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Own the Chaos, where you guys know that I trade over-the-counter stocks, but I'm not the only one. For those of you who don't know, I also run a community. It's called We Trade HQ. It's absolutely free to join, and we have mentors that you can learn from. And one of those mentors is KICKO, aka Pat. And we've been, I don't know, friends for a while now. Probably it's been over a year. I think we've been talking and just kind of shooting whatever we wanted to with each other. I mean, back in the TechBud days is kind of like when we first kind of met, and it's just kind of been, since then, had him join us within We Trade HQ, and it's been a rousing success. I mean, the amount of folks that have come in and really seen a difference in their trading has been awesome, and just happy to have him on tonight. So what's up, Pat?
Not much. I'm just doing my thing, which hopefully is nothing for the rest of the evening. But, just excited to be on here, maybe get introduced to a few new people and start talking about, kind of our journeys getting here and OTC stocks in general and the pain. This much pain. This much enjoyment.
Yeah, there's the reason they call it the Wild Wild West, guys. And we I don't know. Everybody wants to say that it's easier to trade big board stocks, and it probably is. But we, like Pat says, we enjoy the pain. We're gluttons for punishment, but there's the payoff, right? It's the volatility. That's what we live for. We love how crazy it can get, and there's a way to perfect that in a sense. And there's more than one way to do it. Patrick and I both trade in very different ways. And I think what people get out of both of our mentorships is you kind of find what works for you. And sometimes both styles work. I know that folks that come in and they'll be in my morning mentorship and they trade that style. And then they also trade Patrick's style, which Patrick, if you want to elaborate a little bit, on your style of trading, I would say that you're probably geared towards more of the shorter term, whereas I'm probably more longer term type trading. Wouldn't you say?
I mean, I think it depends, and for me, the style is about understanding, one of two things. I mean, the most important thing in my perspective is that the OTC is run by reverse mergers. Okay, and reverse merger is a new company comes in, merges into the shell, the old company that burned you before is out, and a new company comes in. So you think about all your favorite tickers, WDBG, formerly NHPI,
Rest
as
in
of
peace.
late, there's so many. Rest in peace.
Pour one out for.
There's so many. Any ticker that you are trading today has probably been 4 or 5 other companies in the past few years. So with an eye to reverse mergers, very important, an eye to volume, and then an understanding of our step system we put together that keeps an eye on SOS, and filings and things like that. So it's a very, it's heavy on the steps, but if you get the green light on all the steps, you end up with likely a very good trade. So I mean, it's a lot of guess and check. Most things I don't like until I do, and like I always say, I don't have to trade it. I trade when I want to.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, I think, the difference that we have between ours, and I'm going to take a step back in a second, but I think the difference between the community that we built is that we're not forcing anybody to make trades. We're not going to make people feel guilty for selling out of any trade, which I think is uncharacteristic. You get a lot of these rooms where people are like, oh, hey, I sold and made a profit, where there's a lot of other people that are in that particular ticker, and it's like we're supposed to like scold them for some reason. And I think the difference is that we celebrate success no matter what it's in. And honestly, if you're going to get down on somebody who sells a stock for profit and it's something that you're in, then you should, and you're worried that because that one person sold that you're going to really lose out. Maybe you should rethink your own strategy. And that's kind of the way that I've viewed a lot of, my style of trading. And that's kind of how I've evolved, because I'm sure you probably felt the same way when you first started trading, especially in the OTC, and just how the culture in general in the over-the-counter stocks it's pretty rough. People don't like to hear when you sell anything. And I'm not sure that's really the appropriate way to go.
I always hear the same old thing. You a flipper, bro? Right? You just flip. And it's always the same shtick, right? Because it's you a flipper, bro, you a flipper, bro. Let me tell you this. If the stock you're in is negatively affected, or the price action is negatively affected by someone wanting to sell on the ask, or someone flipping for profits between the bid and the ask, it doesn't have enough strength. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know it's a hard pill to swallow. Just let it move. It's not going to move.
Yeah.
Okay. If people want that stuff, you could put an elephant on the ask and it gets slapped off.
Right. And we've seen it.
We've seen it. This is a mistake that people make with regard to you a flipper, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So let's go ahead. I know we kind of already got a little bit carried away, but let's back up a little bit. Like, when was it that you actually got into trading? Why did you get into trading, and why the OTC?
So my wife and I, we, career-wise, I've had a good career in consulting firms, in different types of companies, mainly focused on human capital recruitment and workforce planning and things like that. And so a lot of my time was spent inside of quarterly reports, reading filings, understanding change of control, all these different things, convertible shares, restricted shares, performance shares. So for me, reading the filings was an automatic. And when we had our first child, we decided to go one income, which here in Canada, given the tax load and the cost of living, is bonkers. Yeah. I mean, it's craziness to go one income. And then with the oil crash, certainly up here, your expectations career-wise change. And I was looking to do other things to supplement our income while we were a one-income family. And I remember I delivered some food for one night. And a guy, I think he flipped me a quarter as a tip. He was like, "Here you go." And I was just like, "Ooh, I don't think you know what I'm trying to do right now." So I was like, is there any other way? And I'd had experience trading before, but it kind of got away from me. And I thought, can I get back into it? And I decided to go back to the OTC, where I'd had some success years ago. And bought something heavily, and walked away from it for a bit as my job got active, and came back to it just being a huge amount of money. Silly amount. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I forgot how good this can be. I wonder if I can take it to the next level. And by the way, what a great idea to supplement our income. Because this food delivery, I mean, what do video game people call it? Rage quit?
I don't know. I never heard of rage quit.
I think I put that in about 1 hour. So that's how it kind of went.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in that boat. Before I did this, I had worked, I think I counted it up. I worked 12 jobs in 10 years. 12 different, I wouldn't say 12 different careers, but 12 different places in 10 years.
Yeah.
But they were different careers, mind you. I was one of those people that growing up couldn't figure out what they wanted to do, and I went back to school for a little bit, and it just wasn't for me. So I decided to do a couple of things. I thought I wanted to get into nursing, which is when I went back into school. So I really liked being in the medical field, and it still interests me a lot. I still love being just kind of like a fly on the wall sometimes when it comes to that sort of thing. But then I switched gears, really switched gears. I started working on cars. And then actually worked on unmanned aircraft for the military for a little while, which was really cool. Went back to working on cars, worked on all kinds of stuff. Really, the breaking point for me was kind of like where you were with the food delivery thing, and not quite on the same scale, but it was just I just had enough of the paycheck to paycheck thing. So then I was like, you know what, maybe I just need to go back to school and just figure it out. So then I went back to school, decided, let's just do something general and do business. Well, and that's when, I decided to, well, I got into this finance class and I was really interested in it. I always had some sort of interest in the stock market, and I think everybody does to a certain extent, but I really just kind of got into it a lot. And then, I was talking to my stepmom about it at one point, about like how interested I was in just the stock market and how fascinating I really thought it was. And then she brought up Michael, which is my mentor, BB. And everybody knows him as I like BB stock, and he's known me since I was a little kid. And she's like, "Why haven't you talked to him?" I was like, "Well, that's probably a good point." So that he was kind of like the one that really kind of like brought me into the OTC, and the rest, as they say, is history when it comes to that. But I can't thank him enough for really kind of like teaching me how to do this and become successful at it. And so what we've done here, I think, is a form of just paying it forward. And yeah, there's certain things that we charge for, but really by and large, we gave so much away for free. But the part of that is just kind of like being able to make a difference in changing people's lives. And that's kind of why I do this. And I think that's probably why you do it as well, right?
It is, and that's similar to my story. It is why we do it. And there was a period of time where I was doing a lot of this stuff for free, and I found that the buy-in to the steps, like, it was just another place you could pop in and treat flippantly. And so when we chatted, I said, what would be great is someone, just for the cost of dinner,
Right.
for a whole month, you could maybe actually be bought into what we're doing here and actually focus on what we're doing here, instead of just jumping from room to room to room and not treating it in a serious way.
Right.
I mean, the cost of the mentorship programs is, a few commissions.
Right. Yeah.
But, from my perspective, instead of just jumping around in rooms and hearing this and hearing that and buying this and buying that, maybe you could get focused and hear what I'm saying for real, because what we're doing here is something on a different level of quality, and maybe you could just focus on it. So I mean, that's kind of what attracted me to the model, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and really, because I think that, and the running joke around here is that KICKO is different, and but the thing is, what people on the outside don't realize that people on the inside do, is that what you're doing, even though it's different, and a lot of people hate it on the outside, but the thing is that it's working. Like, people are getting it, and people are seeing a difference. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen it already, that people, the way that you've you structured your system and the steps that you have. There's been so many times where I've seen people that, like, I've been red for months or maybe even up to a year until I came and was a part of WeTrade HQ, and now I finally turned my account around, and a lot of that is because of you. I mean, and it's great to see, and I'm just excited for what lies ahead for us at WeTrade HQ. It's just we're just really kind of scratching the surface here, so it's going to be awesome to see kind of like where we're at a year from now.
Well, I appreciate it. What do they hate?
I don't know. I really don't get it. I really don't.
I don't know either. I mean, like, because I've been at I was chatting with someone the other day, and it was like, I couldn't stand you.
I mean, and it's not like it's a secret. Everybody kind of like I don't know. It's the Twitter. It's just Twitter, man. Everybody likes to be what do they call them? I don't know, keyboard warrior or whatever.
And that's the thing. Whenever you try to do something different, like if I just did everything that everyone else was doing, and you know, would that be compelling? You
Right.
know, and if I did something differently and it didn't work, by all means, hate on me. I'm
Right.
going to go crawl under a rock and die. But maybe because it's working, it's just like anything else. You know, the second everyone's doing it, it's over.
Right.
It's like Bitcoin. You know, like everyone's doing it, and
Until
that
they're
was
not.
when it was dead.
Right.
So maybe we could find Bitcoin before they started making a boy bands, Bitcoin boy band. Remember that one?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, and the thing was, it's like the laughing. Like for those of you who have never traded over the counter stocks, by the way, I got the Dow Jones up here, and I really don't give a shit about what's going on back here because we don't. I mean, it's just up there for show, but I was just playing around with it. But really, in the OTC, none of this back here matters. The Dow Jones could be doing whatever it wants, and the OTC just kind of is its own animal. But one thing I will say is that like when I always call it like the flavor of the month, but it can go on for months or maybe even a year or two. Right now it seems to be cannabis, but back when crypto was a thing, it was unbelievable. All the stocks that came out of the woodwork and came up with the most outrageous stuff. I mean, there was one that we always made fun of that was like crypto face cream, or it was a company that was with face cream, and then they decided they were getting into cryptocurrency. All of a sudden everybody's buying it, even though it's the largest pile of shit ever. I mean, it had like billions of shares in the float. It's just unbelievable some of the stuff that people buy, and it still happens today. I mean, somebody whispers the word cannabis, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I have to throw money at it, and it blows my mind.
Well, lately the thing has been, and not immediately lately, but over the last couple of months, it's been hemp drink.
Yeah.
I'm still searching for someone in my circle, which is just me right now. But hopefully I can expand my circle one day. I'm still searching for people that are drinking hemp drink.
I haven't found one person
for a
either.
hemp drink. Have you drank a hemp drink?
No, I haven't. I mean,
If I want to
Maryland's
drink a drink,
pretty strict on that kind of stuff, but no, I haven't tried any of it.
if I want to drink a drink, I'm thirsty for a drink. I don't want to drink hemp. But for whatever reason, everyone was buying hemp drink. I still like if I went out to the store today, I couldn't find a hemp drink.
I mean, I will admit that I've had some MLHC water.
Oh, you.
They sell it at the
You
local convenience store
so
down.
you did drink. I saw that you found it at the store. Did
Yeah.
You,
I mean,
how was it?
it tasted like really good water, but that was about it.
Did it have flavor in it?
It wasn't. No, I mean, it just. I think there's differences. Like, it did. There's certain water that kind of like tastes like the cheap bottled water.
Right.
This didn't. I will give it that. Like my favorite bottled water, not that it really matters, but is Evian. I love that water, and can't tell you why, because it's just water. It should just be water in a bottle, but it was good water. Whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just freaking water.
Would you describe the flavor of the MLHC water as being diluted?
Yes, it was very diluted, and come to think of it, the longer I held it in my hand, the heavier it felt. Oddly enough,
So it was gaining mass.
it was.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just
Interesting.
out of nowhere. Speaking of which, I thought it'd be fun to do a little rapid fire type of deal,
Okay.
and I mean we can go back and forth with this, but I thought if I gave you a ticker, you could just give me the first thing that came to your mind, and then we can just kind of go from there.
So we'll remember what the catalyst was, and
Yeah.
in a nutshell, realize how ridiculous it is.
Yes, yes. All right. So the first one, this might give you some PTSD. I don't know. We'll see. But the first one we'll talk about is LIBE or LIBE.
This is a Playboy Mansion retirement home.
Yeah.
That's right. They bought an old Playboy Mansion and they were going to make it a retirement home. And then now they're doing a reverse merger with Peppermint Patty.
Something along those lines, but they're still in. What was Bit Whisper was the other thing that they were involved in, and then they had some kind of butt wipes. It was literally called butt wipes.
They did. Yes, they did have an ass wiping thing.
It literally went from 4 cents to trips.
Yeah.
In about 4 months. In about 4 months.
It'll be no bid soon. But I remember reading about it, and I was like, so they're buying a Playboy Mansion and they're putting grandparents into it.
That's what it was. It was a Playboy Mansion they were turning into old folks' home.
And then I get messages, you in live? And I'm like, what am I into here? I mean, this is unheard of.
I mean, I played it. I made money on it. Yeah.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one for you.
Okay.
MSPC.
So this is a double-edged sword. I made my biggest trade on MSPC, so I can't hate on it that much. But the first thing that comes to my mind is some old Brazilian dude doing a live stream in what looked like, I don't know, a bathroom stall. And that was really the end of it for MSPC. Everybody thought that they were buying up all this real estate. They were getting into cannabis. They had all kinds of stuff going on. Every month it was like, oh, we have record revenue. So it went from 000 all the way up to 0029, which I got in at like 00 or 0002. It was an amazing entry. And then that came out, and then that was when the bottom really fell out of it, and then it's back to where it is now. And then they kept adding shares upon shares upon shares, and it never came back. I always have this rule. It's kind of one of those things like you break up with somebody, and then you forget why you broke up with them, and then you go back to say, well, let's taste this again. Yeah, I've done that before. I did that on MSPC too.
And I think, just recently over the last couple of weeks, people fell for it again.
Yeah, it's got what, 7 billion float. There's 7 billion in the float.
In spite of how bad the breakup is, which is a testament to MSPC from an intimacy perspective. Right?
Yeah.
It's just that one X.
No.
Go ahead.
The one you thought got away. ELTZ.
Mammoth paid the notes. if you know ELTZ, this is the weirdest ticker, man. The CEO, who's been under investigation from the SEC before, starts up this ticker. Puts up this website that's rife with spelling mistakes, and it's convertible debt and dumping and dilution out the yin yang. And you'd go on, and the fact that there were people who were instructed to say this, you'd go on the message board and everyone would be saying, Mammoth paid the notes. I don't know what Mammoth is, but I know this is only going down to no bid. But anyone you talk to who's in it, like, what's up with the LTZ? Mammoth paid the notes. I don't know Mammoth. It's really, and now it has a 10 billion share AS.
That's insane. It really does blow my mind on some of the stuff where people they really try to make you believe that it's actually something.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and we can go down the list of just like some of the ridiculous tickers like BOTY or Bigfoot, and people were sold on the fact that there's a company out there that's legitimately trying to make money searching for Bigfoot. What's your next one?
CMGO.
So it was another one I made money on, but it had a horrible death. It was just another one of those court plays that never really panned out. the thing you got to understand about court plays, these court cases, they take forever. When they run like crazy.
Oh yeah.
But it's usually historically it just comes right back down because it's like they buy this high on we're going to sue Apple, but they don't realize what people don't realize is how long it takes to actually sue Apple. So then they get bored and they get okay, I'm in and I'm out type of thing. That's what happened with CMGO. It had a nice crazy run up about 800-900%, and then over the course of about 3-4 weeks, it came right back to where it started. That was a tough one for a lot of people to try to swallow. And I think one of the key takeaways from a lot of these guys is like you can make money on them, you can make good trades on stuff like that, but really like holding on to them for any type of length after they run, a monstrous amount. I mean, 800-900%. Can you imagine if we saw a stock, one of these, run 800-900%? What would happen to it? So it's one of those things. You just have to understand how it works. It's the same pattern over and over and over again, and you'll see it. The more you get experience you get, and Pat can tell you, like we've seen it. It's you see the same movie, and it's almost like you're watching a rerun.
It is, and with these court plays, because people immediately, what do? They see how much they might win. They whip out the calculator. PPS should be $58 by the time they win the lawsuit, right? It doesn't work that way, okay? Yeah. You want to have a lawsuit against Apple, you'll never win.
Right.
You're never going to win.
No.
I mean, having a lawsuit against Apple is like...
Uh-oh. I think we lost you, Pat. We'll give him 1 sec. Sorry, folks. Kind of thought we were losing him there for a second. Give him a little bit to come on back. I think the connection's good. Let me double check here. Yep, says we're good here. Must be on Pat's end. So yeah, just to kind of give you, what we were alluding to is that like there's a pattern that comes with stuff like this, especially when it comes in cases like CMGO, where people get really hyped up on the high of this potential a run happening because of the fact that they're suing some major company, and it may actually pan out. Maybe it does. There's no telling that it won't. But the whole likelihood of it is that it might not. And then how long does that take to actually happen? People get weary, they get tired, they get bored, and so then they sell. So the key is, historically, if you're basing it off of past cases such as this, is to really just understand that this is probably, the longer you hold on to something like that, it's probably not going to work in your favor. And there's lots of folks within our group that has experienced that, and it's been a tough learning experience. But it is what it is. It's just one of those things. You just have to understand it and know it and realize that it maybe later on down the road it'll take place, but it's probably not going to happen immediately after they announce it. So make that trade, get in, get out, and really it's kind of one of those things where you just, I don't know, you can't bank on something like that unless you're planning on sitting in it forever. And it's not something that, oh, there he is.
There we go. I can't win.
That's all good. We were just looking at your dead blank stare, so that's how it froze. At least there could have been more embarrassing poses, but
well, I was looking at yours and I couldn't help but admire that hair. And that's why I originally joined WeTrade, to see if I could aspire to such height.
Yeah, well, I do get a lot of compliments on my hair. I'm not gonna lie.
It looks good. I like it.
Thanks.
Moving
So
on.
yeah, we got through CMGO. We just got a couple more here. So
We'll
uh
go speed round.
speed right. Okay, so HPIL.
Karate crypto.
All right. All right, so shoot one over to me.
VTNL.
Um Baked puppies.
Right. Go
Uh
ahead.
BVTK.
Redneck Homeland Security Windows 95 play.
All right, that one was a good one. Last one.
MLHC.
P Diddy piss water. All right, that was awesome.
So from your perspective,
Yeah.
from a trading perspective, if you could say one thing about what around you, if someone told you one tip, or there was that moment where it got better, what is it?
I think it was realizing when to actually let go. And for me, and this is kind of like the strategy that I share, is like if you do nothing else when making it, it's the easiest thing in the world to buy a stock. Everybody thinks it's the hardest. It's probably the most anxiety ridden, buying a stock for the first time, but it's the easiest part about trading is just buying it.
Yep.
The hardest part ever is to sell it because people get wrapped up, especially down here. People get wrapped up in the fact of like, oh, it's going to go on forever. You know, I'm going to buy in here at 000 and it's going to run to a penny. But people don't realize how rare that is, or even beyond that. And I mean, we've even had people when I first started out, you know, just within chat groups and stuff. I witnessed somebody who was up $17,000 and wrote it all the way back down. Like, and that was me. I felt so horrible because I remember telling myself that was me at one point. You know, you'd see these crazy run-ups and then you just hold on to it forever thinking this is going to be the one. And instead of realizing that you need to be able to take the gifts that are given to you and build on top of that, that's kind of like when it really started to click with me. When you see such huge gains and just like that, they're gone. I think that instilled some sort of fear in me to at least, if nothing else, and that's what I tell people is when you buy into a stock and you experience runs like that, or even just a double or a 50% run, if nothing else, save that initial investment, the money that you use, the capital that you have at all costs, protect that. Even when it comes to losses, cut your losses short and at all costs protect that investment because that's all you got at that point, you know. And if you're playing with house money after that, and you're playing with house money, at least that's free shares that no matter what you sell it at, it's profit. That's money that you made, and that's kind of like that's kind of always been that was kind of like a turning point for me.
It was a turning, and that's a really good one because I had something that I rode from 0.005 to 0.08 and could have taken profits God knows how many times. I mean, how many percent is that? 1,600?
Yeah.
And I sat there and stared at it, and the company came out and said, you know what, at this time we're not moving forward with the reverse merger, but we will eventually. And I stared at it and watched it go down, and I couldn't accept it. Honestly, I could have quit trading, which would be my dream come true. No,
Yeah.
but I mean, I definitely could have left my job at the time.
Yeah.
It was that good of a trade, and I was so wrapped up in the DD that I couldn't accept how much money I had on the table and how much easier my life would have been, because I was just in that, you know, with a bunch of other people who also believed in it. It was cultish.
Right.
And it was a real wake-up call for me. And that kind of leads me to the tip that woke me up, and it was a tough pill to swallow. And it was actually a Warren Buffett quote, which is cliche. But if everyone is talking about a stock, there is no upside for you.
Right.
And if you boil that down to our OTC life, you know, every tweeter is a seller. Every poster is a seller. Every person posting on iHub or on God knows what medium the kids are using these days to communicate.
Yeah.
Every person that's talking about that stock is selling it. Because if they were buying it, they wouldn't be.
Right.
And that's why the steps were made to begin to identify setups that people like before they started talking about it. Because as soon as a bunch of people are talking about it, when I buy it, I'm just buying them off and hoping for more.
Right.
I don't like that. As soon as you can begin to realize that every tweeter is a seller or every communicator is a Snapchatter, Instagrammer, I don't know anymore. What
you don't even have a Facebook.
I don't even have a Facebook. I can't do it. But as soon as you realize that, things begin to get a lot easier. A lot more things begin to make sense.
Yeah, you know, it's easy to get trapped in other rooms, I feel, that pressure you into holding on to stuff, holding on to a bag like it's going. The reality of it is, though, and the unfortunate reality is that those people that are making you feel guilty for selling or taking profits or whatever, they're the ones that are dumping on you.
Correct, yes.
And so that's what you have to understand. Anybody that's out there that makes you feel bad for selling anything for profit, you know, that is an environment that you should have no parts of being in. And Pat and I can tell you that we've experienced that firsthand, and that's why we've created the environment that we have. I mean, and everybody can tell you the chat's just blowing up with how much people love you and people love the culture that we built. But that's why, because they've probably experienced that as well. And the environment that we have, nobody's going to sit here and make you feel bad for trading for profit. I mean, that's what we're all here for.
And you know, there's pumping, right? There's pushing people into selling, or pushing people into buying stocks and pushing them into buying it up and up and up. And I don't like pumping. And on the inverse, I don't like reverse pumping. So like, let's say I went on Twitter or went in the chat and said, hey, y'all, I sold.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen? So that creates unnatural market conditions on the inverse.
Right.
You know, so people, and I'll tell you right now, there's people out there who have gotten frustrated with me because I won't tell them where to buy. I won't tell them what to buy, and I don't tell them where to sell.
Yep.
You know, our job is to show you, here's what a good setup looks like. Here's what, you know, real volume is, which is the amount of money coming in and out. This is how you identify opportunities. What you do from there on in is your learning experience.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not in the business of hand holding at all.
And that the same goes with selling. Because you know how much I would love it if someone just told me, it would be like someone, just tell me when to buy and sell. Just tell me how to be a human.
Right.
Okay. Maybe that's part of my journey of humanity, is learning how to be a good human. You know, and if someone just told me how to be a human, would it be genuine?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too, like if you're relying on somebody else, or you know, if I'm telling you when to sell, that is a huge liability on me, because if I tell you, and I'm the first one to tell you that I'm not the best trader there is that ever walked the face of the earth, but I find success, and that's why I share it with others so that they can find success too. But like, if I told you when to sell every time and it just kept running after that, then it's on me because you missed out on a bunch of money. So take some responsibility for yourself on this journey and allow us to, you know, be able to help you through that, which, you know, Pat and I certainly enjoy doing, but we're not going to just sit here and you know, call balls and strikes for you. And so,
no.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering while we're chatting, I'm already wondering, how do you know? How do you know when it might be time to sell?
Right.
How do you know when it might be time to buy? Charts. I got a couple more here. Charts. No, hold up. Let me just pull out my list here. Charts. Those will help you a lot. And if you can understand those, you can begin, because the chart tells you the story of the buying and selling behavior and the amount that's being bought and sold. You can begin to use them in an actually practical way. What are the humans doing with the shares?
Right.
And which way is the sentiment going?
Yeah.
That's what charts are all about. It's not about being a magician. That's what charts are all about.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
100% agreed. All right. Uh, last thing on, I think we wanted to discuss. What's your favorite stock right now?
For me, it's going to be Sown, SOAN. And, Sown released a filing where they had a private equity fund purchase 15 million shares of it on the open market on December 14th. The holders of those shares include the Cargill family of the famous Cargills, Carroll Shelby's family of Shelby Mustang cars, or I don't know about that, but it's that family. And then the president of the fund, who's delivered 500% returns to his fund year over year, is in discussions to join the company in a reverse merger. So it's a complex play, because in the market that we trade in, it's all about like who's rolling the dankest joints. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't focused on filings and catalysts. But when you consider that a fund took 6% or more of it on the open market all the way up to 0.038, these prices around 0.02, 0.025 seem like a bargain, especially with the merger looking to close by the end of the month. So for me, it's a long payoff. It's hard work because people run and chase other things. But I bet Sown will blow you away sooner than later. And I don't go on record with a lot of stocks often because I'm trading. I'm not being a guru, but I believe in it very much.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been following it for a while as well, and it certainly looks like there's some good stuff going on there as well. I mean, when it comes to like larger plays like that, you're looking for legitimate, legitimate sources, legitimate names, and just what's all going into something like that. And I would agree with you. I think there's definitely some value to be had there. And by no means, guys, are we telling you to buy the stuff or anything like that. It's just us expressing how we find value in certain stocks and how we're able to be successful. But SOAN or Sown definitely looks like it could be a nice little runner for the beginning of the year.
Yep. What do you got?
For me, it's INKW. I've been in for about 8 weeks now, and the reason why I like it so much is just because it's one of the very rare ones that you see come and do everything the right way. We see the KALYs and the Puras and all that they'll throw all these PRs out, and they're not current. They haven't gotten any of their filings together, and then all of a sudden they get a CE and they wonder why. But INKW has actually done it all in the right order, in the right succession. When it comes to reinstatements, getting themselves current, and they are getting into the CBD market. But it's not just CBD. They're getting ready to close on an acquisition, for a bottling company set to produce up to 3 million bottles of beverages per week. And so I just think that the succession in which they've been able to turn the shell around really impresses me, and it's something that is kind of rare down here. There's so many other companies that try to put the cart before the horse, and INKW is slow and steady and doing it the right way, and they just seem to kind of get it. And so that's why I find value in that.
Well, I mean, it's certainly great to see how the price is held up.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you get into these low volume scenarios out here in the OTC, and people, and I always describe it as people are trying to trade and they have one bundle of money, right? And that was me once. I have this piece of money,
right,
and I bought this and it didn't go up, and I sold it for a loss, and I've taken what's left of this piece and I bought this and sold it, and you know what I mean? And so to see INKW hold up shows that there's enough people believing in it.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, if people are interested in something and it slows down a bit, it usually gets whacked flat. and that's not been the case with INKW. So from a chart perspective, it's been impressive.
Well, they don't have any debt either. So, I mean, that's
Right.
the other thing. There's no convertible debt. There's nothing to worry about when it comes to dilution, too. So that's always a good thing to see. So, good stuff. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. We've had some crazy engagement here. I mean, just too many comments to really kind of go over. But thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and just kind of giving your 2 cents and all the love that you're kind of bestowing upon us. We couldn't be here. We couldn't be We Trade HQ. We couldn't be KSM or Own the Chaos without you guys first and foremost. So thank you so much for your support and your love for what it is that we're trying to do. If you are joining us for the first time, I put a link down in the description to join KICKO's mentorship. It's KSM. So check that out if you're interested. As we said before, it's literally a night out for dinner, and really a cheap dinner. And so it pays for itself every month, just to learn and grow and develop as a better trader, especially if you're just starting out. So Pat, thanks so much for joining me tonight. I'll see you guys in the morning. Any last words for the folks out there?
Yeah. Close your ears. Stop hearing.
Yeah.
Hearing news, hearing this, hearing losses. Start seeing. Not with these glasses. That's it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
See ya.